Hi everybody, welcome to Now You're Cooking. It's demo night and we are making Amaretti tonight with Karin. And before we get started on that, next week we're having hake cakes with Ben Martens from Maine Coast Fishermen's Association. Saturday the 2nd we are having a book event with Jen Bouchard, and her book is called First Course. And that will be here, and we'll have Terry from Mockingbird selling books here as well. And on the 9th is Autumn Fest here in Bath, and we're having a big blowout in Le Creuset sale, so come to that if you've had your eye on some Le Creuset. Hi, Karin.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good.
How are you?
Fabulous.
Good.
What are we making?
We're making Amaretti Cookies.
Which
is a recipe that mostly uses almond flour and sugar. So it's a little bit like marzipan, and has a couple of eggs in it, and we make little balls and roll them around in powdered sugar, confectioner's sugar, and then they go in the oven for about 10, 12, 15 minutes, and
then
they're really enjoyable. I love them with a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about coffee too.
Excellent. And Karin made us each a coffee this morning, and a fresh Amaretti that she made this morning before she came to work, and they are exquisite, I must say.
Thank you.
All right, so where do we start?
The recipe, I think, is online, and
the recipe that we have online makes about 50 cookies, so you might want to half that unless you want to make a lot of cookies.
And I'm making 2/3 just because it's easier not to have to cut the eggs down.
Right.
So I've weighed out almond flour, and there are two different kinds that I've seen here, and if you want to show that, there's one that probably doesn't have the peel in it, and so for that reason it stays white. We are using the kind that has the little brown peel in it, and I don't think it matters because we're also adding cocoa powder, and that's how ours turn out a little bit darker brown anyhow.
But they're not super chocolatey. It's just the cocoa adds a little bitterness and maybe brings out when I say bitterness, not in a bad way, and brings out the almond flavor a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And you can, of course, try it without the cocoa powder and maybe add a little bit more flour when you do that. All right, so we have weighed out almond flour, sugar, and we're going to combine all the dry ingredients. We have cocoa powder.
And all the amounts for the 50 cookie batch, all the amounts are on the recipe.
Yep.
That will be posted on our website and on Facebook. And
then a little bit of flour. And we're supposed to mix the dry ingredients. I'm not really a baker, so I like easy recipes. This is one of my favorite tools.
What is up with that crazy thing?
I think it's called a Danish dough whisk. And I think it really helps when you have doughs where you have to add some liquid to dry ingredients to not overwork the dough. Mm-hmm. Today, though, this is the only time I'm going to use it because this is hands-on and I'm going to use my fingers in between. So we have the flour, dry ingredients mixed. Here we have some bitter almond, well, you call it almond extract. Very intense almond flavor. I'm going to add that to the egg yolks.
And we also have our egg whites, so make sure you keep both your egg whites and your yolks for this recipe, but separated.
Exactly, they were separated before. So now comes the part with the fingertips. Drizzle this in.
I love these recipes where you mix by hand, like the way I always make my pie crust by hand.
You like that.
Even though it's just as easier to.
So it's a pretty sticky situation.
Oh, it smells good. You can really smell that almond extract.
And you want to get some crumbs. So I'm just working it with my fingertips. Right now I'm afraid that I have too much dry ingredients for the small egg yolks that we used. So we'll see how that turns out.
It's always a challenge, always a bit of excitement.
Doing this
Doing
tonight
well
is
just
exactly.
with eggs and stuff, where recipes say a large egg or extra large egg or a small egg, because there are standards in the industry, in the egg industry, which is how they rate them, but they're not always exactly the same. So if it's a picky recipe, which I don't think this one is, but if it's a picky recipe, that can be a little challenging. It doesn't look picky to me. Do you think it's a picky recipe?
We'll find out, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't come together, then it's a picky recipe. Because I did it twice in the last week and they turned out both times.
Well, we're here to show you that they don't always work out, right? No, it'll be fine. It'll be good.
Okay, great. So I think Luisa is dying to ask me where this recipe actually came from.
I am dying to, because I know where it came from, but I don't know the story.
All right.
So why tell us?
So the recipe comes from Switzerland, and it came to me at the first birthday party of our Bernese mountain dog. Big black, brown, white dog that came from outside of Zurich in Switzerland, and they invited everybody to come together for their first birthday. And they had
all the parents of the litter.
Yeah, and all the dogs. And so there were 7 or 8 Bernese mountain dogs having a great time. And of course there was food involved, and one of the ladies brought these Amaretti cookies, and they were so delicious that I had to have the recipe, and that's where it's from.
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
And your dog's name is?
Jezebel.
Jezebel. And is she a Jezebel?
She definitely is. So I'm going to give up, hoping that this will be all right.
Does it look like about the right?
It's a little
looks
bit
a little
drier than I wanted it to be, but we'll find out.
Okay.
And now I can't walk away to wash my hands, right? So we'll just make a little bit more of a mess.
We'll clean up after.
A pinch of salt in the egg whites to make them a little stiffer.
Which I just learned.
And then we're going to make some noise. Let's see. How do you turn it up? So let's see. That's the highest setting? Yeah.
I think so. Look at those egg whites whip. Oh, you're just
Too much. The nerve.
So what consistency to what consistency do you want your egg whites?
I would like them stiff.
Okay. Hence the salt to
Yeah.
make sure they stay stiff.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast they whip up when you have an
Hand
electric
mixer.
mixer, yeah.
Okay.
But if you want a really good workout, do it by hand with a whisk.
Yeah. I'm testing you.
I know
Okay,
you are.
I think we'll stop here. This looks pretty good. There you go. All right, I'm going to be I'm still a little apprehensive about the amount of flour that I have for these whites.
Would you add a little bit more white flour or almond flour, or are you just going to maybe not add all of the egg white?
No, I think I have too much. Right now it seems like I have
too dry.
Yeah, too dry.
So, and what Karin is doing now is called folding. Folding in the egg white. So you want to keep a little bit of the fluff.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to have to just believe that they did it right.
I have every bit of confidence in you.
The problem is that those balls that we want to form, they want to fall apart very easily.
Yeah.
And so,
Could we, well, we're going to make, this is going to work. It's going to work, Karin.
it's always with
It's going
us.
to be just fine.
You're very kind. There we go. This is what we have. So let's make it work. Try to keep some fluff, not overwork it.
folding and folding. So if we wanted a little more moisture, might we add
Maybe an egg yolk?
a little water, another egg yolk? I can get another egg if you want.
Let's see how it behaves. Since we're not going to form all the cookies here tonight, well, we are.
We are, but not. We don't have to. You don't have to watch us form all the cookies.
Let's see where they go. So, take a portion and then form a ball. Yeah,
Maybe not.
be careful to form a ball. And then I try to keep just one hand in there so I don't get too much sugar into it. And then the ball sits here. And then I use the glass and just a little squeeze. So that piece is probably not as, it probably has quite a bit of moisture because it didn't crinkle as much.
Do you want to squeeze it at all, or you just want to be very gentle with it?
I think you want
because you
to-
don't want to.
Yeah, I think you want to be really gentle. What's
Oh,
happening
it's an
there?
adventure here at Now You're Cooking. I don't know. Just I think it turned itself off or something.
I see.
So now we have soggy cookies.
But we'll,
Oh my God.
We'll
we have
have
a few
good-
more, right?
we're about to.
This is not how you're supposed to eat your Amaretti with coffee.
We are a funny bunch here. Definitely worth coming in.
Yeah. We like to have fun.
Yeah, we do.
We don't let things get us ruffled, right? Our cookie dough's not perfect. Our coffee makers go off on their own.
There you go.
So when those bake, they get all really nice and crinkly.
I think the crinkle comes mostly from pushing them down,
Okay.
and they get a little bit of a crust. And I think it's really important to learn about your own oven. I think that a minute makes a big difference. So they say 10 to 15 minutes. I did 13 minutes this morning, and we're going to try a little bit less time
Yeah.
here.
Our
because-
oven here is a little inconsistent, so we'll try a little less. But what was so wonderful about them this morning is that it's just a really light crisp. It's not like a crunch. It's just a really subtle crisp. And then the inside is, like you said, it's almost like marzipan. It's very soft, really, really delicious, and just a wonderful texture.
What size cookie scoop are you using?
Is that a one
About a tablespoon, it looks like.
1 tablespoon, I believe. You can make them bigger, but then they don't last as long, maybe? I don't know.
Well, it depends on how many you eat, right?
Yeah.
You can eat 2 or 3 small ones, or you can eat 1 really large one.
So, and that's about it. They
So
can go in
you're-
the oven.
But you are wishing that was a little moister.
Well, I think what I have here is pretty okay.
Okay.
I think it's turned out pretty okay.
Okay. So Karin made us each a coffee this morning with the Jura automatic espresso machine, and it was really fabulous. You get a really nice crema, which is the foamy stuff you get on top of an espresso. And it's a pretty big footprint, but it just makes the best espressos. We carry a more manual one espresso machine from Breville, which is also nice. Do you have that one at home? Barista?
We have a Breville barista at home,
Yeah.
and make coffee with it every morning, and it's fun. It's a little bit of a process, but you learn how to do it very quickly, and it takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes at the
And
most.
if you like that ritual of making your espresso,
Yeah.
it's a great way to go. So you have your scoop, you're tamping it. It has a grinder right in the machine, so it's a really great way to go. There's so many ways to make coffee, and a lot of times customers will ask, what's the best way to make coffee. And it is such a personal thing, I think. So many people love like a pour over like this, where you put a filter in, you put your coffee in, and then you pour hot water slowly over it so it seeps through and fills your cup. Chemex is another brand that's very similar. You put your filter in the top, beautiful piece of glass here, and you can get a little rack to put it on so you can keep it on the stove and keep your coffee hot. The nice thing about this is you make one hot cup of coffee at a time, so you've always got a good hot cup of coffee. Then there's the French press. So I usually have a French press coffee. I don't mind the murk that you get from a French press. So you put your coffee in, pour your boiled water in, let it sit, and after 4 minutes you plunge it and then pour it. You do get a little bit of some of the smaller coffee grounds, the more of the dust stuff will come through. I don't mind that. I kind of like it, actually. It gives your coffee something you can bite on. We also have, which I'm sorry I meant to bring out, the Aeropress, which is another 1 cup coffee maker. And it's sort of like the French press in that you put your coffee, pour your water in, but you don't have to wait for it to steep. You can, but you don't have to. And then you just plunge it down and you've got a nice hot cup of coffee. Beautiful thing about that is it has a really fine paper filter, which I'm told you can wash and reuse several times. But it's because it's fine, really fine paper filter, you don't get the murk that you get with a French press. Like I said, a lot of people like the French press. A lot of people, it's not their cup of tea or coffee. There's also cold brew. A lot of people like cold brew, which you let the coffee grounds soak in water, usually in your fridge, and then you strain it out and you get a really nice strong, what do you call it? Like an concentrate, thank you. So you can just pour little bits of that in a glass. You can heat hot water or hot milk for it, or put cold water and ice with it, or cold milk and ice. But the nice thing about that is you don't get the acidity that a lot of coffees will have when they're brewed hot. And we carry all of these items here at Now You're Cooking, lots of different ways, and we all like our coffee, so we're all very happy to talk about how to brew your coffee and the different ways that we have. We also sell 2 Maine roasted coffees here. Swift River is up in Raymond, up by Sebago Lake, and Maine Roasters used to have a storefront in Yarmouth. He no longer has a storefront, but you can still find the Maine Roasters coffee here, and we sell several varieties of both of these in regular and decaf. The Swift River is 3/4 of a pound, and the Maine Roasters is a whole pound. And we're really happy with those coffees. That's what we drink here, and it's what we brew in our machines. If you'd like any kind of a demo, are you going to put those in the oven?
I was going to.
Amaretti going in the oven.
We'll see how that works out.
If you want a demo, if you want to see how any of these coffee brewing ways work, we have most of them available. There's usually somebody on the staff that can make you a cup with a Jura. We have also another model of this. We've got the Aeropress in the kitchen. We're always happy to make you a cup of coffee and kind of show you how the different methods work. Anything I missed, Karin?
No, I think you got it all.
All right. We got it all, and we've got Amaretti, and we are going to eat some good cookies. And I'm just going to break that so you can see if you can hear.
Is there much over here?
You can't hear it.
No
but
more here.
It's a nice little crust on there, partly from the sugar and partly just from the way that it's cooked. And that is just such a delicious cookie. So I think that's it. Next week is Hake Cakes. Then on October 2nd is our book event. And October 9th is the Autumn Fest with the Big Le Creuset sale. So we hope to see you very soon. If you want a cup of coffee, come and see us. We'll show you how to brew it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.